Uploads information or calculated value to panel. Okay, so what does the uploader system task do? It's used to define all kinds of operations with the information, with the data. As it says here, we can copy, we can move data, we can erase it, we can compose data, we can split it, we can combine it, we can do all kinds of different things. All the uploads have something in common. They're all going to have a source from which we're going to extract or evaluate some data, and a destination. This is where we want to drop this data into. So we're always going to have a source and a destination. Let's say our source is the name and the surname of maybe an employee or a customer. And the destination is going to be a field where we want this field to be populated with both of those different sources. Okay, so we can have lots of different sources going into one destination. There's all kinds of different combinations. As it says here, we can even have the source and the destination be the same field. Okay, although usually they're different fields. So as it says here, there's a lot of different types of sources, different destinations. Based on the required operation, the system is going to offer us the right combination for each case. The goal is to ensure that the configuration, the settings, are always correct with no compatibility issues. For example, let's imagine I want to upload um, the birth date of someone in a text field. That's not going to be a problem because we can drop in a birth date into a text field and the system is going to allow us. It's not going to give us any problem. But let's say we want to do the exact opposite. We have a text field with the name of an employee and we want to drop those values into a calendar field or a numeric field. Obviously, this isn't going to be possible. So the system is always going to control that whatever we're trying to do is done in a correct way. Here we can see some examples. For instance, we have the process panel and we have a source. So we have a value that says approved. Okay, so in this field that's called status, where it has a value approved, we want to drop it into another field, maybe in an own family, that's called projects. And we want to grab this value and drop it into this field here in a different place of the application. This is something we could do with the uploader system task. And we might want to do the other, maybe we want to go the other way around. We have an import field in a own family with a value, and we want to grab that value and drop it into this destination. Here in this other scenario, we have a source, a field in the panel of our process, and we want to drop it into another field of the panel of our process. Okay, so we can go in whichever direction we want. We can bring the information, we can store it somewhere else. So basically, these uploads are going to be executed either because we press a button or because the flow has gone through an uploader system task in our diagram. So we could always select an action in a button, an uploader action, where we have all of these options. As we can see here, there's less options in the button of a form than the options that are displayed in a system task in the diagram. Another thing we want to take into account is that when we're configuring a form, if we put a lot of uploads in buttons, there's going to be, let's say, some time invested so the system can actually trigger these actions in the form. Maybe it's not very much. Maybe we have 3 or 10 different operations, but we have them all in a button. Obviously, our button isn't going to work as quickly. So it is interesting to take performance into account. We might want to add those actions in a system task, in an uploader system task, once the form has already been triggered. So unless we need something in a form, it's better to always configure it outside. So in the execution of the process. In some cases, obviously we need these operations to be performed within our form. We want to maybe upload some calculations, combine them with a business rule, and then drop everything into a group of fields. And we might want the user to see the result immediately. We don't want to exit. We don't want the flow to exit this task. So in this case, obviously, we have to use a button, but it is important to take into account the performance.